Welcome to Lubbock, Texas. We are at Jones Stadium, which was, by the way, built in 1927 on the campus of Texas Tech for today's 5A playoff game between Permian High School Panthers and the Amarillo Palo Duro Dons. I'm Rick Wood, bringing you today's first step in the road to the championship for Permian High School. Permian's playoff record, by the way, in Lubbock is 13-2. The first in 1965 was a quarterfinal game against Lubbock Monterey. 14-7, Permian won that one. The most recent game was in 1991. Last year, a quarterfinal game against Midland Lee, which Permian won 35-7. Our game analyst today is Barry Sykes. Barry, give us what's going to lead to a victory today.
Well, Rick, this will be the 20th by-district game in Permian's history. Of the 20, they've lost only one. They've tied one. One of the wins, the only one, matter of fact, was way back in 1960 against El Paso. The only tie was in 1981 to Louisville. This is a game that Permian year in and year out participates in and wins. The reason, three things. One, you win the kicking game. Two, you control the field of play, control the field position. And three, you play excellent defense. Those three things play in Permian's favor.
Here's a kickoff by Chapman for the Dons. Taken by Williams at the 20. And covered. The first one in there was number 30 for the Palo Duro Dons.
Now, Gerard Bergen came up to receive the kickoff. They kicked it short, electing not to kick it deep. Permian has done a great job this year of taking kickoffs and taking them back outside the 30. The Dons played the smart move there and decided to kick it short. Bergen came up, simply fell on the ball, and Permian will start their first series at their own 20-yard line.
Dennis Graham, the quarterback for the Permian Panthers. In the backfield will be Strambler and Williams behind him. This one goes to Strambler, trying the right side, gets to the 20-yard line.
You know, you're going to probably hear the name, and you're going to be calling the name of John Williams an awful lot this game, Rick. He's the back he's the feature back in the Permian offense this year, and has done a great job each and every game. Matter of fact, there has not been a team so far this year that has held John Williams under 100 yards. Early in the game, they're going to kind of test the defense, see if they're keying on Williams. If they do, they'll go to Strambler and the other backs.
2nd and 10 for the Panthers. Graham sets. 2 split to the right. Graham back to pass. Throws. Complete to Parrott. Parrott gets across the 25. Will be marked at about the 27-yard line.
That's the kind of pass play that you depend on your receiver to really pick up the big yardage for you. All he does is go out about 5 yards, 7 yards, whatever, makes a quick turn. The quarterback, Graham, gets the ball out to Parrott for Parrott catch number 31 on the year. He is the main receiver in the Permian passing attack, and usually when you see him draw back to pass, he will be the one they look toward.
Bass comes in, Parrott out. Graham takes the ball to Williams, the ball carrier. Tries the middle of the line. Very little yardage, if any, moves to the 29-yard line. Not enough for the first. Panthers will punt. Punting for the Panthers will be Shane Wells.
Wells has really been a consistent punter all year. If you'll notice today, especially playing in the wind we have up in Lubbock today, he averages about 38 yards per kick and really gets the ball high and will probably carry with the wind behind him.
Wells back at about the 15. Punt is up, and it's a high punt. Fair catch called at the 30-yard line by Palo Duro. Palo Duro will take over at the 30-yard line, and we'll see their first set of offensive downs for this first playoff game.
Well, you did what you had to do defensively if you're a Palo Duro Don coach, player, fan, and that is that you took Permian's best. You took it from their 20. All they got was 9 yards. They had to punt. Permian has a very explosive offense, and the best way to keep them off the field is to play great defense and let your offense do the job, and now they have their first opportunity.
Jermaine Gilbreth will be the starting quarterback for the Dons and probably will be switching in and out with Todd Barnes, but now it's handed to Gary Brown, and he tries the middle of the Permian defensive line, crosses the 30, gets to about the 33-yard line.
Brown's one of those big, bruising and type of running backs, wouldn't you say, Rick? 250 pounds. And, you know, a lot of coaches inflate either inflate or deflate the sizes of players. I think his is right on at 250 pounds.
Well, from the looks of him from up here, I guarantee it is. That's right. Now in at quarterback is Todd Barnes. Todd sticks it in the stomach of Brown, pulls it out, tries to get around the side. Permian is there to pull him down. Back to about the line of scrimmage. Barrett will bring up a third, and it looks like about 6.
Actually, it looks like he only got a yard gain. He was looking to try to pitch the ball back to Terry Williams, but defensively you have to play the pitch man as well as the quarterback, and if you overplay one or the other, that's where the ball goes to. Great defense by Permian, and only a 1-yard pickup.
Gilbreth, the quarterback in, I formation. Gilbreth hands off, this time to number 22 for the Dons, and that will be Terry Williams, the running back this time. Nice run up the middle, gets to just short of the 40-yard line and in just short of a first down.
And you're talking about just short, I mean, you're talking about less than the length of the football.
I wonder how you eye that one that it is that short.
Well, Rick, if you're the coach of the Amarillo Palo Duro Dons, you come in as a marked underdog to a stout Permian Panther team. Do you think you go for it as he's going here and trying to go for it on your own end of the field this early in the ballgame?
Well, I think he feels that he has probably had pretty good success so far on gaining against the line, so he might as well. Barnes to the big runner up the middle. That will be Brown, and Brown breaks loose across the 50 down to about the 46-yard line. Big play for Palo Duro Brown.
Well, again, Rick, you've got a back that goes 250 pounds. All they simply do is give it to him up the gut. The gain is a good gain of about 14 yards, and now you're in a Permian territory. You have a new set of downs to work with, and your offense is beginning to get in sync.
The offense of the Dons probably pushing Permian further than they would like to see them pushed already and this early. Gilbreth, as I said, will be switching in and out, quarterbacking for the Dons with Barnes. Gilbreth is in now. Gilbreth hands off to the scat back, number 20, Johnson. Johnson crosses the 45 to the 43. Pickup of about 3 yards on the play.
They're going to mark him down at about the 43-yard line after a good pickup, really. And any time that you can take first down and pick up 3 yards, 3 or 4 fours is what you really hope to get, because that gives you a good shot at second down. You don't have to go near as far. This is an offense, Rick, that really is stout. They average 289 yards rushing a game, and you're going to do that when you have big backs like a 250-pounder back there in the backfield.
Well, that's power. Now in a wishbone formation. Barnes rolls right, pass, downfield, in and out of the arms at the 10-yard line of his intended receiver. I believe that was number 6. Is that correct, Kim?
That's Ronald Kemp, who had a huge ball game earlier this year against Amarillo High. You talk about huge. He only caught 3 passes in the game, but those 3 passes went for 178 yards, 66 yards, 59 yards, 53 yards, and that's from a tight end. So that tells you he's big, he's a big play receiver, and he can get open, and he has the speed to do something once he's able to do that.
It also says something about Barnes' arm, because he tossed that about 50 yards in the air. Gilbreth back in this time. Gilbreth keeps the ball, tries the right side, still on his feet. Gilbreth still covering, finally knocked out of bounds at the 22-yard line. Big run on behalf of Gilbreth. 19-yard carry for Gilbreth as he went around the right side on an option play, kept the ball, and was finally knocked out of bounds by the Permian defense.
Gilbreth averages about 8 yards per carry, and he came into the game, they said, with a very severely bruised and pulled groin. Didn't know if he would be able to play, but he certainly doesn't look like he's injured at all in that particular play.
No, that may have been a little bit of hype there. But anyway, Barnes is in. I formation, looking for the pass, up in the air, high, to the corner of the end zone, incomplete and out of bounds. This time intended for his end, Billy Middleton. Just a little bit too long and a little bit high. Even if he could have caught the ball and got his hands on it, he would have been out of bounds when he finished. Well, we're at 2nd and 10 for the Dons.
Now, this Palo Duro offense is an offense that really doesn't like to throw the ball and doesn't throw but about 10 times a game, and they only average in those 10 completions about 6.7 yards per. But they like to run it, and 9 times out of 10, that's what you're going to get is some kind of a run up the middle to the side.
Wishbone behind Gilbreth. Toss out, miscued. Ball on the ground, recovered by Permian at the 31-yard line. Number 41 recovered that fumble, and that will be Jared Bergen, the big back for Permian in their own defense, playing both ways. Picked that one up on an errant pass from the quarterback for the Dons, intended for his tailback trailing around. The pass went awry, and Permian takes advantage of that and covers it. Permian will take over from their own 31-yard line, 1st and 10.
I'll tell you about the fumble rule here in just a second, why he could not advance that even if he had wanted to.
Graham, the quarterback, tosses out to Williams. Williams goes the right side, and there may be a fumble. There is a fumble on the play, and the Dons get it back. I think recovering on that one was number 9, Rod Price, for the Dons, as he jumps up and down and heads to the sidelines. Now then, the Dons set up. After we have traded footballs back and forth, the Dons will take over just short of the 30-yard line.
It seems like the fumble the last couple of weeks the Panthers have really had a big problem with. Against Cooper, they fumbled twice early. Last week against San Angelo, they fumbled early. Fell behind 6-0 before the offense really got in sync, and here they do it again.
Todd Barnes goes back, looking to pass, being chased. Big block in the backfield, going to right side, finally caught from behind by number 63 for the Panthers, and that is Sam Brooks. Caught up with him as Todd Barnes tried to go around the outside and was looking for someone downfield. All receivers were covered, so he had no one to go to. Had no option but to try and get around the other side, and Brooks caught up with him.
Really, that's what, as you described there, Rick, a coverage sack more than anything. The defenders did a great job of staying with the receivers. He had to hold it much longer than he wanted to.
Jermaine Gilbreath quarterbacking for the Dons. Wishbone formation, one-man split to the near side. Up the middle this time to Gary Brown, their big back that we've talked about. Moves the ball to about the 26-yard line. This will bring up a 3rd and let's give it 6.
Now, that was a good 3-yard pickup, but again, you're running right to the heart of the Permian defense. In this case, Sam Brooks, who they bypassed, but then Michael Comer, number 45, a returning all-state starter for the Panther defense, came up, and 9 times out of 10, when he gets a hold of you, you're not going to go anywhere but down to the turf.
That's evident. Okay.
Look for the tight end again here, Rick.
Yeah, this will be the opportunity. Up the middle to the big man, and he is met by the front of that line head on. Nowhere to go. If he got back to the line of scrimmage, he was lucky, and that's their big running back, Gary Brown. This is going to bring up a big 4th down decision. Last time the Dons had a 4th down, they went for it and did not get it, so they're trying to raise their crowd. Speaking of crowds, big crowd here from Permian this afternoon. Not many from Amarillo.
Going to go for it on 4th and 6. They're going to elect to do away with the field goal and try to pick up the 1st.
Gilbreath, the man, handing off to number 20, and the ball's knocked loose. Picked up by number 6. Going around the right side, and that is Ronald Kemp. He's still going and in for a touchdown.
Well, I tell you, that's got to be one of the most unusual plays you will ever see in the NFL. If you have a fumble on 4th down, the receiver or the ball carrier has to recover the fumble or the play does not count. That doesn't happen in high school. No matter who fumbles, anyone apparently can pick the ball up, and the quarterback, I tell you, talk about a heads-up ball play. Now, wait a minute. They're going to bring the ball back.
That's
maybe
going to be the
question. 4th down.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's going to be the question. I think they're going to get the ball there, but I think does not Permian take over because they did not meet the 1st down line?
Right. It was 4th and 6.
That's right.
Okay, if the rule is as we described, if it's 4th and 6, and that means that you have a fumble, the guy has to pick it up or do away with it. Let's take a commercial break. We'll be back to Jones Stadium. It's a scoreless tie between Permian and Amarillo, Palo Duro.
Wishing the Panthers good luck in the playoffs. Permian is playing Palo Duro with 4:26 left in this first period of play. Permian has the ball with Graham tossing back to John Williams. Williams losing about 2 yards on that one as the Dons really penetrated on that play, Barry.
Now they're going to mark him back at the 25. I believe we started the series there at the 20. They mark him at the 20, almost the 28, a -3. Williams on 2 carries, -4 yards and a fumble. And that's very unusual. Now, you've got to remember he's really a slow developing back early in the ball game. Sometimes it takes him just a little bit of time to get his feet under him, get his feet wet, but once he does, he's going to really be able to turn up the chest a little bit.
Two men split to the far side of the field for the Mojo Permian Panthers. Pass out short of the 30-yard line, and that was to Mr. Parrott, was the receiver, and he's going to be down at the 28-yard line. That'll be a pickup of about 3 yards on the play. We'll bring up third, and let's just say 9 yards.
Well, actually, it's almost back to the original line of scrimmage. You really gained maybe a half a yard. You're going to have a 3rd and 10. And in this situation, again, you're going to probably be looking for Kendrick Parrott. If not Parrott, I might be looking for Scott Cherry and see if you can get the tight end somewhere in a seam matched up with a linebacker.
Graham back to pass, rolls to the right, looks, and it is complete to Parrott. Parrott catches at the 41-yard line, 3 yards more than they needed for the first down. That's a 14-yard pass play. Graham to Parrott, and as I say, picks up the needed first down for the Permian Panthers, as they have been operating most of this game so far pretty deep in their own territory. 3:03 to go in this first period. The score is 0-0.
Of course, that's what we talked about, the control of the field of play, and to be able to control where the ball is placed and where you begin your drives. Right now, the Dons have that advantage.
Williams up the middle, cuts out to the right. He's across the 50, the 40. If he goes out of bounds, they're going to mark him out of bounds at the 44-yard line because he went all the way. He just had one little mistake of not knowing exactly where he was. That was a 14-yard pickup for John Williams, and it could have been very easily a touchdown, but he stepped out of bounds at the 44 of the Dons, and they'll bring it back there, but that's enough for a first down.
Well, again, that may have been a situation where the quarterback, Graham, had one play called, came to the line of scrimmage, saw that the defense was set up in another set, and something that a running play such as that would take advantage of, pitched the ball quickly to Williams, and if you noticed, Rick, once he passed the line of scrimmage, there weren't really any defenders left.
You're right.
Which means the defense was completely out of position. If he hadn't stepped out, Permian would have been on the board with 6 points.
It was a wide open for John Williams, and had nowhere to go but down, but he just stepped out of bounds. This time it's to number 33, and that is Tyreen Ephraim. And he crosses the 35, gets down to about, let's see where they're going to mark it. It looks like to be about at the 32-yard line, a pickup of 12 yards for Ephraim. And he's a little fast scat back, went off the left side, carried in for another first down as Permian finally gets their offense on track.
Well, Ephraim's a running back, Rick, that really has come on the last 3 weeks. Last week, he had a 65-yard touchdown run. The week before, 78. The week before that, he had a 49-yarder. I mean, he is a big play back of monstrous proportions.
Can break it any time. Graham looking over the defense. Toss out to Alan Strambler. First time he's carried the ball this game. He gets down and crosses to the 28-yard line this time. And this will bring up about a second and let's say 6.
You know, Strambler's a great example of a team player. Last year in the state championship game, scored the last touchdown for the Panthers in the 91 season. Came in expecting to have a huge amount of playing time, but has seen his playing time cut in by Ephraim, but continues to be a team player and does what he can to help the team win instead of complaining and groaning about not carrying the ball enough.
Off to John Williams. The toss comes from Graham this time as he gets down to the 25-yard line. And pick up, it looks like, of about 3. That'll make it, we're probably going to have a 3rd and 3.
Williams, again, is having just a little bit of time, a little bit of a tough time trying to get on track. Other than that big play that could have gone for 59 yards for the score, they've really been able to key on him and bottle him up so far, Rick.
They have controlled the big man for the Panthers, John Williams. Graham still in at quarterback for the Panthers. Takes his time in the call. This time it goes to Ephraim again. Ephraim across the middle, across the 20, down to the 18-yard line, and that's enough for another first down as Permian rolls with a pickup of 7 yards that time by Ephraim, and Permian continues to mount up the attack and gather up the first downs.
This will be the 10th play in the drive that started back on the 28 after the teams exchanged fumbles. Permian coughed up the ball in their own 30, but they were able to stop Amarillo before they could really get going. got the ball back, and now they have a chance to put something up on the board.
They're deep as they've been in this game so far. This is the deepest penetration, and by the way, this is a penetration in this playoff game. Toss back to the big man, John Williams, trying the right side. He's across the 20. He's going to be thrown out at about the 18, right at the line of scrimmage, maybe a little bit of a gain. He just could not get loose of that one-hand tackle on the jersey.
You can see just a little bit of the tailback filling John Williams. Last year he was the starting tailback with Malcolm Hamilton the starting fullback, and the difference is a fullback usually runs up the gut on the plays. The tailback uses the sideline, and you can still see where he loves to get to the sideline. Once he does, of course, the speed can usually turn it into a big play for the Permian Panthers.
It's like a magnet to him. It kind of draws him that direction. Men split left and right for the Panthers. In the backfield is Ephraim and Williams. This time, fake toss to Williams. Pass thrown incomplete. They're going to call it to Barrett at about the 2-yard line. It was a nice diving catch by Parrott, but the referee right there on the spot says, no, sir, we trapped it on the ground or it touched the ground.
No, the official was certainly Johnny on the spot on that particular play and had a great bird's eye view, and Parrott came up to plead his case kind of like Michael Irvin does for Dallas, but much like Irvin did last week, he lost his case and Parrott lost his on this particular play.
You're definitely right, because that referee was in position for that call. There's no doubt about it.
The Panthers have to get inside the 9 for a first down, Rick. We're looking at third and about 9 to inside the 9-yard line.
Ephraim and Williams in the backfield. Graham back to toss, throws complete for a touchdown to Jarrett Bergen in the left side of the end zone. He was wide open, too.
That's Graham's 11th touchdown pass of the year, and for Bergen, that's the 3rd time he's caught a touchdown pass. But I'll tell you, this week I was talking to Jarrett and to Graham both, and I said, Jarrett, sure be nice to have you in the end zone again. And he scored a couple of runs here early in the year, rather late in the year, on some running plays for touchdowns. But as far as receiving passes for TDs, his last score, via the pass route, came in week 3, and now here he comes back in week 11.
Timing is great. Holding will be Graham, kick up by Wells, and it is good for the score. And that brings the score 7 for Permian, 0 for Palo Duro. Let's take time now for this message. 0 for Palo Duro. There is 23 seconds left in this first period of play. Permian lines up on the field to kick off. Wells will be doing the kicking off for the Panthers. Back deep it is a deep kick, by the way. It is heading to the side of the end zone, taken at the 2-yard line. Number 20, the ball carrier for the Palo Duro Dons, and that's Anthony Johnson. He tries to cover back into the middle, but Johnson is trapped and downed at the 15, just the other side of the 15-yard line.
Let's recap the last drive for the Panthers. It came after a 4th down effort by the Palo Duro Dons went awry on that funny play that looked like it went for a TD and came back because of the 4th down rule. Panthers took it 11 plays, 72 yards in 4 minutes and 3 seconds, and the capper was the touchdown pass to Bergen, number 11 for Graham, number 3 as far as receptions for touchdowns by Jared Bergen this year. They lead 7-0.
Okay, here come the Dons, and this is Gilbreth, and he's handing off to his back, Anthony Johnson, and Johnson meets that big Permian line.
Beats a bad feet.
He gets maybe a half yard. They're going to move the ball up to the 16. It started just short of the 16-yard line, but it was kind of a crash there, and that is the end of our first period of play here at Jones Stadium. And the score is Permian 7 and Palo Duro 0. Now let's take time for this message. Texas, as we are on the campus of Texas Tech University at Jones Stadium with the first step in the road to the championships for the Permian Panthers. And they are facing, of course, Amarillo Palo Duro, who they have played 4 previous times. And the record is, of course, Permian has beat them 4 previous times. The first was in 1970. And that was an 18-6. In 84 in Lubbock, a by-district game, they won 41-21. In 85, they played in Lubbock here, a by-district game. They beat them 34-15. And the last one was in 1987, and this occurred in Odessa. It was a by-district game also. Permian came up the winner in that one, 20-10. So Here comes the Dons to kick off and start off, I should say, this second period of play. Number 10, Todd Barnes is the quarterback. Barnes on a delay to Johnson, and Johnson tries to hurdle the front line of the Panthers, and that was a mistake because he was met and stopped for a short gain of about a yard. Brings up 3rd and 9, Barry.
Well, if you're in track and you hurdle, usually come down on a nice soft cinder track. In football, you try to hurdle. The chances are you're going to run into a Michael Comer or a Sam Brooks or a Scott Cherry, and that's going to be more of a rude awakening. You probably not want to do that too often.
He may have learned an important lesson for the game, and that may be what Permian wants to do to try and remind him how tough it is.
Something else they've done, they're going to force Palo Duro probably to pass. That's something Palo Duro really doesn't want to do too often.
Fumble. Ball still free, and it looks like it's going to be close, but I think Permian has it, and there they will take over at about the 18-yard line.
Now, the two players that came up with it, one was Hubert Collins, the other was the junior defensive back, Sheldon Bass, and it's Collins, number 32, that comes up and very confidently and supremely hands the ball back to the official. Now the Panthers have taken back a fumble. They've given up one. They've now recovered two, and coming into the game, the Panthers last week and the week before that have been able to turn the turnovers around. They were +6 coming in, and now they stand in great field position inside the opponent 20.
Another penetration for Permian as they start this one deep in the Dons territory at the 18. Graham back to Williams. Williams going to right side, and boy, was he fighting for territory, and he got territory down to the 10-yard line. Pickup of about 8.
Well, they started back on the 18. Once you want to run one play inside the 20, then you're given credit for a penetration. And, of course, neither coach, I think, would want to have the game come down to have to determine penetrations and first downs and total yardage. They really want to win it on the scoreboard. Right now, Permian has begun to turn the tide and taking control of the ball game.
I think control is right because they make their own control. Williams, again the ball carrier, does cross the 10-yard line, met by, I guess, most of the Palo Duro team at that point. I think they're going to mark him down at the 9-yard line.
Well, you see Williams, number 30, coming up. He's one of the linebackers. The stout part of the defense for Palo Duro are the three guys in the middle. Keith Diggs, number 64, he's a down lineman nose guard. Tyrant Frazier, 43, and Vidius Williams, 30. All three of those players average about 10 yards per carry, and chances are you go into their territory, you're going to be going down in a hurry.
These are the main part of the Palo Duro Dons defense. Graham takes his time. Strambler, the ball carrier, around the right side, breaks open and around and in for another Permian Panther touchdown. That was his second touchdown of the year for Strambler.
You know, we talked just a moment ago about the fact, Rick, that he had scored the last touchdown for the Panthers in 1991 to seal the victory against San Antonio Marshall this year. Expected to be the feature back coming in, but it hasn't really worked that way. Only had one score this year, but then already here he takes it from 9 yards out on the 3rd and 1. The defense keying on Williams, he takes it 9 for the TD.
Wells ready. Graham takes, kick is up and good. Another touchdown for the Permian Panthers as they move along now in this first half of play. We're in the second period with 9:51 remaining in the second period. The score is 14-0 for the Panthers. The Panthers, Barry, have really created their own breaks in this one. I mean, the fumbles being a big part of it, and they've done that a lot this year, have they not?
Well, it's something that early in the year, the defense was having trouble coming up with a turnover. Matter of fact, as they headed into district, they were the only team without an interception. They have 9 now, so you can see how the defense really has come on, and that really is attributed to two factors. One, the improved play by the defensive secondary, and the improved pressure by the front 7, the 4 down linemen, and the 3 linebackers of Cherry, Collins, and Comer. And when they're working in sync, all 11 working together, you'll get the pressure of the quarterback, you'll get the fumbles when you hit the ball carriers, and you'll also get the interception because of rushing the quarterback and forcing him to throw the ball faster and really to a spot he didn't want to throw it to. And that's when your defense turns the tide. As your defense plays, usually so does your offense and your entire team.
Well, Permian has a by-district record of 17-1-1. Their only loss, by the way, I'll have to bring this up, was to Esleda, 31-21 in 1960. That was my junior year at Esleda High, by the way.
But you couldn't play because of some kind of obscure UIL rule.
You're right. You had to sit out a year when you transferred. But anyway, here comes the kickoff, and it's taken at the 8. Crossing the 20-yard line is number 10 for the Palo Duro Dons, and that will be Todd Barnes. Nice run back on behalf of Barnes. They're going to cross it just across the 20-yard line at about the 21.
Barnes, along with Chris Fisher and Terry Williams, have all returned kicks for TDs this year, and I'm sure that's something Shane Wells and his kick team have been concerned about. In fact, Williams took one, 98 against Odessa High, pretty well put that game on ice for the Dons.
The Dons down, and this is Gilbreth in. Fumble again, falls on the ground, and Permian will recover again at the 25-yard line. That was Bass that recovered that fumble, and when you see that, the ball's just laying there, and you're waiting for someone to jump on it, Jim.
Yeah, you're saying, come to pop it.
I tell you, that he went into that line, and it was like the ball just kind of popped out because it surprised him. The look on his face that you could see was, now how did that happen?
I'll tell you, that's a mistake that the Palo Duro Dons are going to be regretting all the way back to Amarillo if the game continues in the fashion it's going right now, and that is that you've got to take advantage of your opportunities. They didn't do that early, and now they're giving Permian a chance to take advantage of their opportunities. This will make the difference in the ball game if Permian can score on this drive.
25-yard line. This trip that Permian takes, Graham back, looking to pass, throwing downfield, knocked up in the air by number 21 for Palo Duro. That was Billy Mason back to break up that pass. It was just a little bit too low or a little bit too short, however you want to say that. The pass was, and it allowed Billy Mason to jump up there and get a hand on it.
Yeah, that was the tight end, Scott Cherry, out of the pass pattern. Coming into the game this evening, Cherry had caught only 2 passes all year for 38. One of them was for a score. And really the tight end not utilized much in the Permian pass offense. And they're going to try to change that a little bit today. You may see him have a few more passes thrown his way before the game's out.
Toss back to Williams. The big fullback gets down close to the 20-yard line. Mark it at about the 21. Bring up about a 3rd and 5.
Now, much like last week, Williams having just a little bit of trouble getting on track. He had one gain of 14 and easily could have gone for 69 for the score earlier. 8 carries, 26 yards. Ephraim, 2 for 19. And Strambler, 4 carries now for 14 yards. And the running offense of Permian, just a little bit slow going, but the passing offense working pretty good for them.
Well, that's keeping the Dons back on their heels, not knowing what to expect, because the running is very potential for the Permian Panthers. Again, back to pass is Graham, and it intended for Parrott down at about the 14-yard line. Parrott was coming back for it, but it was just too hard and too low for Parrott to be able to get to it, so it goes incomplete. We'll bring up a 4th and 5 from the 21-yard line.
Now they're going to mark it back at the 38 for the attempt, 28 for the attempt. It'll be a 38-yard attempt for Shane Wells, and this could be a very important kick for Shane Wells. He owns most of the Permian kicking records. If he makes this one, Rick, this will tie him at 15 career field goals, currently held by 3 other players we'll get to in just a moment. Could be a career-tying field goal if he makes it.
Graham receives. The kick is up. It has the length, and it's good. A beautiful, beautiful kick. And Wells has kicked, as we said, 14 career field goals, 11 in 91 and 3 in 92 through week 10. He has a record 15. That's held by Russell Wheatley in 1975, Roy Dunn 1979 and 1980, and Bobby Knott in 1981 and 82. So a new record set there.
Well, he actually tied the record set there with number 15. Well, let's take a break, but I'll tell you, the tide's turning for Permian. Our score, Permian 17, and Palo Duro.
17 for Permian, 0 for Palo Duro. Palo Duro been their own worst enemy in this game thus far, giving the ball up twice to Permian, and Permian scoring points twice. This last one on a record-tying kick for Shane Wells. Shane doing the kicking off this time, and the ball is up. It is a high kick. Into the end zone and out of the end zone. The ball will come out to the 20 for the Dons.
Let's harken back on the field goal by Shane Wells. That's 4 of 8 in the field goal department this year for Shane. had a 38-yarder against Abilene. His best was a 45 against Abilene Cooper. Wells holds most of the kicking records at Permian. As we said, he just tied the record for field goals at 15. He set earlier this year a career conversion record, now 111 on the year. And for his career, the old record was 105. And I tell you, you talk about kickers and all-state players, he's probably one of the best of all time to ever come through Permian.
Very talented. Gilbreth keeps the ball around the left side. Tries to cut upfield as he crosses the 20, but nowhere to go, and he's forced out of bounds. Ball going to be marked out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Nowhere to go. This is our first penalty, as there is a flag on the play. We've got holding the call against the Dons again. Nothing working for the Dons so far this game, Barry.
Well, it worked early. It worked early because they had a couple of good drives going. Matter of fact, they moved from their 30 down to the Permian 22-yard line, fumbled it, got a Permian fumble right back, and then fumbled the ball right back to Permian. Now it's going against them. The Panthers, because of the confidence now in their defense to stop the offense of Palo Duro, elects to take away the first down play and pushes the Dons quarterback down to their own end of the field at the 10-yard line.
1st and 20 is the call. Gilbreth hands off again to the big man up the middle. That will be Gary Brown. Brown tries the middle, and very little room to go there. He did get up to about the 14, let's call it the 14-yard line. That'll be a pickup of about 4 yards.
You've got a 250-pound fullback. You've also got a very versatile back in Todd Barnes. And Barnes is a name we haven't called a whole lot yet, but I guarantee you, before the game's over, Todd Barnes will become a factor in some fashion for that Amarillo offense.
Yeah, they've really stopped switching quarterbacks because Galbraith has stayed in. He's in now, rolls out, throws downfield, incomplete. It hits at about the 27-yard line, and that was about 4 yards short of his intended receiver, and I think his intended receiver was
tight end.
Yeah, his tight end, and he was just way short of his target.
Well, he had Bass back there on him. He had the entire defense just about. Scott Cherry. Neither passer really completes a lot of passes. Gilbreth completes only 28.8% of his tosses. Barnes only 36%. Gilbreth's attempted 80, completed only 23. So you can see from those numbers, they don't want to throw very often. When they do, they're really not a whole lot of success to their passing game.
Gilbreth off to his fast Barnes that we were just talking about earlier, the very adept young man who was alternating earlier in the game with Gilbreth at quarterback. We talked that he was in his tailback position that time and gets it up to about the 19-yard line. They still have 4th and let's just say 11 yards, and back to punt they are. And punting will be David Ogdes, a senior.
And the Panthers should come up with great field position somewhere around the 50-yard line after this punt.
Punts up. High punt. It's going to be taken by Parrott at about the 30, the 41-yard line. Comes the near side and caught in a shoestring tackle by number 81 for the Dons, and that will be Chad Connor, as Parrott tried to get away from him going the left side and almost broke that one.
Well, that's a situation where if he was able to make the corner, if he was able to turn it back upfield, you were looking at not only the 50, but possibly inside the opponent 30-yard line. And a great one-on-one tackle has to be attributed to Connor. Now the Panthers, again, Rick, with great field position, as now they're playing on the other end of the field, and they start this drive at their own 45-yard line.
Big move for the Panthers as they move up. Again, as Barry said, the 45-yard line is the starting point. Graham brings his team up. Man in motion is Bergen to the right. Toss to Williams, going the right side, still on his feet, but heads out of bounds. And they're going to mark that one at about the 49-yard line.
Well, he thought he was playing basketball there for a second. I think as the man reached up to tag him, he hit the ball, but luckily for Williams,
what a bounce.
Permian, it bounced right back up in his hands. For Permian fans, I tell you, the lump was probably in their throat, because way back in 1983, on this same field, Midland Lee beat them because of that same type of play. Then the defense froze on, and the Lee running back, Jones, picked it up and scooted for the winning touchdown. You got to kind of go, oh no, what's going to happen?
Well, you never know how that ball is going to bounce anyway, but it was a Permian bounce. Graham, short pass, complete to Parrott. at the 42. Parrott still on his feet and driven out of bounds at about the 29-yard line. Fine move on Parrott's part. 20-yard pass play and pickup. Graham to Parrott.
I tell you, that's a prolific combination. Coming in, Kendrick Parrott had 30 of the 54 Graham completions. He had 7 of Graham's 10 touchdown passes and averaged 19.8 per catch. And that's pretty darn close. 21 yards, averaging 19.8.
Yeah, he's trying to keep that average going. Wing T formation for Permian in the backfield. This toss is going out to number 32 this time, and that will be for the Panthers. That will be Tyree Ephraim. Ephraim back in, and he will be switching in and out every now and then, as we saw before. Very fast young man.
I'll tell you, he's quick, and not only is he quick, he's the consummate team player. He was one of the kids we had a chance to interview earlier this year, and he made the mention that he didn't care if he carried the ball the rest of the year. He said, hey, I'll block. I'll just go out and play kick teams if I have to. I don't care who scores the touchdowns. I just want to play and win. And that's the kind of team player that results in teams doing really good things.
You're right. Tyree Ephraim, the man. And back there with him right now is John Williams, of course. Man in motion. Toss to Williams. Goes wide to the right. There is a flag on the play. He goes out of bounds, though, marked out at about the 31 and a half yard line.
Just excellent pressure by the cornerback, Billy Mason, coming up. Mason, because he got such penetration on the offensive end, I'm not sure if that was O.T. Wilson. I'll have to check either he or Cherry in, but Mason got great penetration and forced Williams out to the sideline quicker than he wanted. He really wanted to cut it back up, and that forced out allowed the play to turn bad for Permian.
Flag was a holding call against Permian, and the decision now lies with the Dons as to what they want to do with it, because if they take the play, that's going to be, what, 3rd and 12?
Well, if they take the play, it'll be second down again. It'll be second and about 18. If they take the play, as you said, it'll be 3rd and 12.
Right.
And you just got to see which confidence you have in your defense to do it twice or your defense to do it once.
They're going for their defense. So that'll bring up a 3rd down for Permian this time, and let's make that a 3rd and 12. And Permian on that play trying to get around the right side, but somebody was trying to help Williams as much as they could, but
Mason just made a super play and forced him really to do something he didn't want to do, and that was take it all the way to the side too quickly.
Graham looking to pass. Way downfield to Parrott, complete and in for a touchdown. That was that will be his 8th touchdown pass reception of the year. And that was a great pass by Parrott. I mean, a great catch and pass, of course, on behalf of Graham. But the catch was there as Parrott had to go to his knees and bring that one in.
Well, I tell you, a great receiver can make a quarterback look absolutely super. He really broke out looking over his left shoulder. Graham threw it over his right shoulder, and he made an absolutely perfect adjustment to the ball. And as he turned, the ball hit him right on the shoulder, and he fell into the end zone for the Panthers' touchdown. And with the extra point, could go up 24-0.
There's the point. It's up. The kick is good. It does bring the score with 6:02 left in the second period of play to 24 for the Permian Panthers and 0 for Palo Duro. We're going to take a timeout right now. Lubbock, Texas again for the Permian versus Palo Duro game. Graham now is 6 for 9 for 90 yards, and Parrott has received 5 for 72 yards with 1 TD.
And that TD was the 29-yarder we just saw on 3rd down after the Dons had elected to let the Panthers try a 3rd and 12.
Kick is up, and it's going to be another high, deep one into the end zone, and Al Wells is putting him through today, is he not?
I tell you, he is as good a kicker as you will find anywhere in state. Earlier this year, he had a problem with his foot. He was trimming his toes one day and cut them a little bit too close and had an ingrown toenail problem. And he has since healed himself from that. And I tell you, week in and week out, the punks have been just super high, and to give a chance to get the coverage team downfield, and as you see on his kickoffs, you don't get a chance to return them very often.
No, you don't, and that's why he does the job that he does. Wells, the big kicker for the Permian Panthers. Jermaine Gilbreth, the quarterback for the Dons, as he tries to get some action going, and a quick pass out, and I think that is complete to number 20, or is that Barnes?
That's Barnes, number 10.
It is 10 for Barnes, and it is complete, and he's out of bounds. be marked down at, let's see, that'd be the 26, right at the 26-yard line.
And that's the first pass completion of the day for the Amarillo Palo Duro Dons. They're 1 of 4 for the 7 yards. Let me recap that drive a moment ago real quickly, Rick. A 5-play drive that took them 55 yards, third down pass of 29 yards to Kendrick Parrott. And Panthers now lead 24-0, and things are going on all cylinders offensively and defensively.
Definitely working for the Panthers, and there's another big defensive play as the big fullback, Gary Brown, their 250-pounder, is trying it up the middle, but there's just nowhere to go. He gets maybe back to the line of scrimmage, move it up to about the, let's mark it at the 26-yard line. This will bring up third and about 4. The site of the 5A playoff game between the Panthers and the Amarillo Palo Duro Dons as the Panthers come onto the field and to the crowd's joy. And Barry, tell us something about that first half of play.
Well, I'll tell you to begin the second half, first of all, Rick, Palo Duro is going to do the one thing they did super well in the first half, and that's return kicks. It's about all they had a chance to do the whole first half as Permian put up 34 points on 4 touchdown runs. Actually, 2 runs and 2 pass plays, and also a couple of Shane Wells field goals that gave him the record of 16 in a career, best in Permian history, better than Russell Wheatley and Roy Dunn and Bobby Knott. I'll tell you, he's a super talent. Panthers could just about do no wrong in the first half, Rick. They started out with a series from their own 20, had to punt away. The next time they had the ball, they fumbled it away, but after that, the offense really could do no wrong. They had the ball beyond that. Another 6 series, came up with 4 touchdowns and 2 field goals. TD, TD, field goal, TD, TD, field goal. I tell you, you can't go wrong when you get down the field and put points on the board in that fashion.
They have continued to do that, and they will start off this second half defending the south end, kicking off to the Dons in the north end of the end zone and back deep. I believe we have Mr. Williams. I believe it is Terry Williams. That is correct. Todd Barnes is back also deep to receive, and 2 of the kicks that Wells kicked off last time went in and out of the end zone. This one's up high and heading to the right side. Barnes takes it at the 8-yard line. Barnes still on his feet, trying the right side, and finally forced out of bounds by the Panthers. And over there was Wells, along with number 10 for the Panthers, O.T. Wilson, as they forced him out of bounds. And the Dons will take over this time in this series of downs to start off this first half of play from the, let's see, we're going to start it at the, 35? I think they're...
No, the 36 is where they have it marked, but apparently there's some confusion.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to make out.
Well, if you'll notice, we have a flag laying on the ground over the 19-yard line. If the flag, if the ball carrier was pushed out of bounds at the 29 or 34-yard line, you mark off the 10. Basically, what you come back to, Rick, is they're going to start this series at their own 20-yard line.
Well,
they've been there all day, it seems like.
Yeah, they had a good shot that time, but illegal use of the hands is going to move them back, and that's...
Well, I lied to you. The infraction was at the 20. It's going to be worse. They're going to start back in the 10-yard line.
Half the distance, I guess. So it's even deeper than they thought. They were feeling pretty good because there was a pretty nice run back by Todd Barnes as he went down the right side. And he met up with Wells and Wilson.
And also Sheldon Bass helped push him out. 36-yard line is where it was marked. The difference of 26, they now started their own 10-yard line. There's a lot of difference in that end of the field.
Jermaine Gilbreth, and he's going to keep the ball. Nope, tosses out to Todd Barnes, and the fumble. Now, whether they're going to mark him down or not, we will see. I think they are marking him down because that fumble was recovered by Michael Comer coming in, but also in there was Bergen on the tackle, and there was a hard hit that upset the back Johnson as he tried to come around the right side.
That was Dusty Dennis, number 44, who has been battling a bad shoulder his entire high school career, but as you notice, when you get in a ball game of this magnitude, bad shoulder or not, you stick it in there and force the receiver to take a hit, or the runner to take a hit, and upends him for the 1-yard loss.
Looked like we had motion, but they're not there. Gilbert back to pass. Hard pass, and almost intercepted at the 30-yard line. And I believe that is
yeah, that was Bergen. I'm sorry, Berlin.
Berlin, that's right, number 42. I was thinking Jason Berlin was the defensive man back there, and he almost made a nice catch of that one.
Now, the Palo Duro offensive game passing was rather lethargic in the first half, 2 of 6 for 8 yards. Matter of fact, the Panther defense held the Palo Duro Dons to 69 yards of offense. Meanwhile, the Panther offense rang up 246.
Quite a
now Palo Duro is going to have a 3rd and 11.
Quite a difference. 34-0. Permian leads. Gilbreth back is going to toss it off to the right side over here, and that's going to be to number 6 for the Dons, and that's Ronald Kemp. And Kemp, the ball carrier, nice run after he catches that ball, crosses the 20 to the 22-yard line, and that's enough for the first down.
That's really just a screen pass. What they do is they lull the defensive end. In this case, Calicut, number 77, had the big rush. You wait until the rush commits itself and then throw it to your trailer. In this case, the tight end, and he's able to take it down the field 13 yards for the first down.
Sam Brooks, the man for the Panthers, that came over and finally made the stop on him. Up the middle this time to Gary Brown. Very little. Picks up to the 25-yard line, maybe the 26. I think they're going to mark it right on the 25. Looks like about a 3-yard pickup.
Snyder, number 78, along with Brooks and Comer, able to come in and make the tackle. Snyder's one of those players, Rick, that early in the year was seeing a lot of two-way play, but because of emergence of a lot of different players, you have Snyder and you have now Calicut. They're only going to be going one way, and they have new players taking their place on the offensive side of the ball.
Gilbreth keeps this time. Tosses out to Johnson. I think that's Barnes around the left side, and tried to hold it up and cut it up, but still a nice gain on the play as he finally is pushed out of bounds, but not before he gets up to the 44-yard line. Picks up another first down, and this kind of is reminiscent of the first half as they started to play, you know?
Who carried the ball that time? I didn't see
that was
number.
Barnes, the toss out to Barnes.
Well, that was a gain of 19 yards and moves him out to the 44. Berlin made a great hit on the quarterback, but the quarterback in turn made a great pitch back to Barnes for the big play.
The Dons moved the ball in their very first couple of series of plays in the first half of this game, but haven't been able to do much. This time, Gilbreth has no option but to try and get out of bounds because he was trying to turn it up. But let's see, I think that I'm trying to pick up, what is that, number 32 for the Panthers, Collins?
That's Hubert Collins, but what made the play was the play was designed to go to number 10, Barnes, again, the backfield mate. But as quarterback Gilbreth turned around to give it to him, Rick Barnes was on the ground, had fallen down and stubbed his toe, and there was nobody left. Nobody in the pass patterns, nobody to hand the ball to. And you could see as he ran out of bounds, he simply just wanted to get off the field as quick as he could, and Hubert kind of helped him out a little bit there toward the end of the play and pushed him out.
Just a little bit of help, that's all it took, because Gilbreth was heading there. Gilbreth now straight back to pass, looks deep, throws deep. That's going to be intercepted, and is intercepted that's by number 16, I believe, for the Panthers. That's going to be Matt Comia. Again, that's his second interception of this evening, and the Panthers will take over because of Comia's interception at their own 35-yard line.
Now, Comia comes up with his second of the year and also second of the game. This passing offense of Palo Duro has been just a little bit weak. Gilbreth, 23 of 80, had thrown 4 interceptions to only 3 touchdowns and averaged per completion about 29% of the time. Simply threw it up. You had the center fielder and Comia come up with a ball, and the Panthers offense now has another opportunity.
Nice play by Comia, because it was there to him as if he was the intended receiver, and he played it very well. Okay, this goes up the middle this time to Williams. Does cross the 35 to the 36-yard line, and that'll be a gain of about a yard on the play.
Williams in the first half had about 120 yards. He set last week, Rick, an all-time Permian regular season rushing record. Sean Crow has the record of 22.88 in the full season, but in regular season play only, Crow in 1987 had 15.61. Williams last week ended with 15.73.
Big year for Williams. Graham back and complete to Parrott down at, or up, I should say, to the 46-yard line. I'm sorry, that was Bass. I read that one wrong. And Sheldon Bass, that will be his 10th reception of the year. And That 8 looks like a 0, you know, right there is what it was. But anyway, nice catch by Bass, moves the ball up to the 46-yard line where Panthers take over with a 1st and 10 as their offense once again gets untracked. And this second half of play, 8:52 as the clock moves left in this third period of play. 34 for the Panthers, 0 for the Dons. We've got a pass to Bass out to the right side, and it was a nice little screen pass, and it picked up about 9 yards on the play, and they're going to mark that up at the 46, just short of the 46, short of the 45-yard line. 2nd and about a yard to go.
Now, Panthers have gone to the passing game quite a bit more this afternoon. 13 passes thus far, and Graham 8 completions for 121 yards, and Kendrick Parrott again has been his main receiver, but Bass and Bergen have also caught passes.
Bass comes in every now and then and relieves. Again, Graham goes to the pass, and this was in the hands and out of the hands at the 40-yard line of Parrott this time. Generally a very sure-handed Parrott, but this one was too hot to handle, you might say. Still third, now it's 3rd down and about a yard to go as the clock moves, 7:57.
Well, again, a classic case this time of the quarterback and the receiver making the play work, but Parrott tried to run before he caught the ball.
Williams, the man this time, trying to pick up that 1st down, not only gets 1st down yardage, but a little bit of extra insurance as he crosses the 40 down to the 38. More than about 6-7 yards more than they needed for that 1st down. A lot of substitution going on behalf of the Dons defense as they move men in and out, and some experience being given to some other players on that Dons defense. Parrott far to the right. Backfield, Williams. Graham back to pass. Again, low pass, but picked up off the ground. They're going to mark it as completed to Parrott this time. And we got the referee's going to talk about it a little bit, and they're going to say, no, it was incomplete. It looked a little short to me, but Parrott covered it very well and almost persuaded the referees that it was a good pass.
Got to look at it like it kind of took the short hop off of the turf. That was a 1st down play. Panthers don't normally go to a pass, it seems like has been the case this year. Don't usually throw the ball on 1st down. They're trying to open up the offense a little bit this afternoon, maybe with a big lead of 34-0, kind of tinker with things and kind of make some adjustments maybe for further on down the road.
Now's the opportunity to get a lot of looks at a lot of different defense, and this is Ephraim in as he's the fast little scat back as he jumps across the 35 down to about the 31, but we do have a flag on the play. We're going to see what that one is, and they're pointing back at the Panthers, so the referee gives a signal of holding against the Panthers, so that's going to bring this play back and tack on some yardage.
That was a 7-yard pickup by Tyree Ephraim. All they did was simply follow his blocks along the right side of Benjamin and Garrett, 60, 75. Parrott also helping out. All for naught as they're going to mark the penalty yardage all the way back to the Panther 47-yard line. The good thing is the play gets to be played over. The down play's over. It's going to be 2nd now and 20. And the Panthers need to reach inside and down to the 28 for a 1st.
Good test of will here with the Panthers leading as far as they are to see what they can do to gain this big yardage needed to get the 1st. It is only 2nd down. They still have some more plays to go in this series, but we'll see what selection of plays they have this time. Bergen in motion. Graham out to the right. Complete to Williams on a pass play, and then finally he is forced out of bounds by number 21, Billy Mason, but he finally did get down to about the 44-yard line, a pickup of maybe 5 yards on the play. No, let's see, that's going to be only about 3 yards on the play.
The line of scrimmage began at the 47. It's a gain of 3, and it's going to set up 3rd and a whole bunch. It's going to be 3rd and about 17. You notice that Graham has chosen a lot of wide receivers today. Usually Kendrick Parrott's the main man. Well, again, today he has been, but Bass has caught a pass or two, Bergen a pass or two, and now Williams catches his 1st of the afternoon.
Bass splits out to the right, Bergen in the slot, Williams in motion. Back to pass, Graham looking long and deep for Parrott down there, and it is stolen away by number 9 for the Dons, and that is, let's see, that's Rod Price. And it was a fight for the ball between Parrott and Rice. Rice took it away from him, brought the ball back up to the 28-yard line, just short of the 29, call it the 28 and a half. And nice return on behalf of Price.
Well, again, a case of where if you put just a little bit more air under the ball, you have a good chance of completing it for the touchdown. The pass that was thrown earlier to Cherry in the end zone, had they thrown the ball up, would have probably been a touchdown instead of so much on the line. And this time, had he led the receiver just a little bit more, Graham could have rung up 6 more. But Price made the play and gives the turnover to Amarillo. They're now back out to their own 28-yard line.
Well, this might make the Dons feel a little bit better about that. They did stop the Panthers this time. Gilbreth again going to attempt the pass, and the pass was complete. I think they're going to call it incomplete because the Panthers were all over it as if it was a fumble if it had been complete. But no, incomplete. That pass is going to go. So it's 2nd and 10 with 6:22 left in this third period of play.
Passing department this afternoon for the Palo Duro Dons. 3 of 8 for 21 yards. Coming into the game, they averaged throwing only about 10 passes per game. Their offensive rushing attack was equal to Permian, 289 to Permian's 291, but the passing department just a little bit weak on them.
Gilbreth hands up the middle. Gary Brown tries the middle. Running game has really not been able to do much, and I think, Barry, that's probably why the Dons have tried to open it up with more passing. But on the other side, it seems like the Panthers have done quite a bit of passing, as you said, to a variety of receivers, too.
Well, you really, one complements the other. You set up the passing game by being able to run the ball and pull the defense up tight, and by doing that, you free up the passing lanes. Also, if your passing game's working, you free up the inside, and that allows you to run. For Palo Duro this afternoon, really nothing has worked at all for them.
Middleton and Barnes split far to the right. Gilbreth looking for him, but overthrows his intended receiver.
That was Middleton, number 80.
Middleton, that's right.
He had some good coverage by Bergen, number 41. He had some deep help back in the back. Let me double-check the number by Jason Berlin, number 42, as they rotated. Bergen coming up from the safety position, Berlin coming back from his cornerback position. The important thing is the ball falls incomplete, and the Panther turnover, again, results in nothing for Palo Duro.
Chris Brackens is back to punt for the Dons, and we look like the Dons are short a man as he comes on now, and then decides, no, baby, I better not, and I think I'll just get on off the field. Brackens, the punter, as he punts from his own 20, and it goes off the side of his foot and hits out of bounds at their own 40-yard line, and they're going to mark it at the 42-yard line for that punt, and it was just a bad one from the start.
Lockie, along with number 56, Travis Jensen, came in there quickly. And I'm not sure if they touched the ball or if just the fact they were in there scaring the punter, whatever the case may be. Maybe they just said, boop, and he tried to rush it just a little bit much. But the fact of the matter is the Panthers, again, in great field position from the Amarillo 42-yard line.
Great field position. Graham tosses to Williams. Williams around the right side scored on this play once. Flag goes down. Williams is brought down, but the ball is fumbled at the 30-yard line, and there's a scramble for the ball. Still fighting. We're trying to make out who comes up with it. It was a 12-yard run on behalf of Williams, and it looks like the Panthers maintained it. And I think, in fact, covering on that was number 66. Matt Lockie is the man that covered that fumble by Williams, but the flag is there, and it's going to be holding against the Panthers. So all of that was for naught anyway, and they're going to bring it back and mark it off.
That's right. As head referee Larry Spiegel gives the holding sign against the Panther offense. And again, you have a great run by the running back Williams, and again some super blocking to free him to get to the corner. But the Panther offense has got just a little bit sloppy here in the second half. A few mental mistakes maybe that have resulted in a couple of holding calls and wiped out good plays.
Well, wasn't the message we got, Barry, that Williams and Cherry were not feeling real good with the flu? And this may be a part of it into the second half, that they're tiring a little quicker than they might.
Well, that's possible. I mean, if you've had the flu, you know how you love to just lay around on the couch and vegetate. But these kids have to go out and play football, and I think they're doing a super job under the circumstances, especially.
That's what I said. I hate to see them when they're in prime condition. This one is to Scrambler, the big carrier, as he scrambles off the right side, and
another flag
on the field. There it is. I see it now, and Scrambler made it down to about the 33-yard line, but again, it's going to come back.
That's right. They're going to bring it back. Apparently a motion penalty against someone in the Panther backfield, didn't pick up the number. Panthers, the last two plays have gone backwards from a gain of 12 and now another gain of 15. Are going to instead back up to where they're their own 46-yard line, and they have to reach inside the 33 of Palo Duro for a first. The important thing, though, is, Rick, it's still only first down.
That's right. And they've got first and 21 as they operate from their own 46-yard line, And we do not know what we might see from this, whether Graham will come out throwing or not. No, it's a delay handoff. This is to Ephraim, their little fast scat back, gets across the 50, down to maybe the 49-yard line where they'll mark it.
Ephraim's had a lot of tough running room today. He had a 12-yard gain earlier, 6 of 35, 6 carries for 35 on the day. Williams, unofficially, I have him at 15 for 131. But the important thing is they are still getting the job done. And really, Rick, even though you've got a first and 21, I don't think that you can completely come out of your game plan. You need to just kind of take care of business, get what you can on first, and then see what's left and do something with second down.
Very good point. 2nd and 16. Graham back, and he is going to go back to pass. He's looking, though. People are covered, so he goes around the right side, still on his feet as he crosses the 30, and is finally brought down at the 28-yard line. And he was brought down there by number 3, I believe it is, for Palo Duro, and that's Chris Brackens, who's been doing the punting for him. And he had enough to pick up the first down. That was a 21-yard run by Graham.
Graham coming into the game, I tell you, if you talk about his running, he looks at you with a funny squinch on his face. He had coming into the game negative 19 on 26 carries, and he said at some point I'm going to turn that around. Well, he got a 21-yarder that particular time, and it's certainly going to make the stance look a whole lot better.
Much better. Okay, here comes Ephraim again. Ephraim, the little fast man, breaks through, and he's going all the way. Nobody there to catch him from behind, because once he breaks it through, and with the speed that young man has, no way that it'll play. 19-yard run on behalf of Ephraim, and this will give him his 7th touchdown of the year.
You know, remember earlier we were talking about Ephraim the last couple of weeks has really come up with a big play. Last week against San Angelo, the backbreaker right before halftime went 65 yards. The week before that against Abilene Cooper, 49. The week before that against Lee, 78. And the week before that against Midland, he had one for 24 yards rather. And now picks up a 19-yard run. And again, you key on Williams, and the tailback hurt you.
Once he gets through, I guarantee you he's gone. And there's a kick, and this is the first time that I've seen that motion gone against Wells. As they say, he must have missed that one because they motioned it no good. That makes the score with 3:03 left in this third period of play. 40 for the Panthers, 0 for Palo Duro. Let's take time for this message. A playoff game and the first step in the quest for the championship for the Panthers in this big game against Amarillo. As we said before, this is their 5th meeting in playoffs. Permian, again, in those first 4 games, have beat the Amarillo Palo Duro Dons, and it seems to be on the road to the same end for the Panthers so far in this one. 3:03 left, 40-0, the Panthers lead. Wells will be kicking off. He just missed his first extra point of this game, and that was quite a surprise because that young man has been doing quite a kicking game. And in fact, that must have really upset him because this kickoff goes all the way through the end zone.
Now, that drive, Rick, by the Panthers actually began at the Amarillo 42-yard line, but they had a couple of problems that moved them all the way back to their 46-yard line. So we're going to call that a 54-yard drive in 3 plays. And you remember they had the first and 21. You know, not only did they succeed in getting the first down, they succeeded in getting the touchdown by Tyree Ephraim. 2 minutes, 26 seconds. And again, the Panthers are on top by a score of 40-0. Looks like the playoff game next week is going to be well in hand. The opponent will be El Paso Eastwood, who defeated Burgess 23-14. And Rick, the fun thing is the Panthers get a chance to play at home next Friday night at Ratliff Stadium beginning at 8 p.m.
Todd Barnes, the quarterback now, goes back looking to pass. Big chase by number 56 and caught and forced out of bounds as he had no option but to try and tuck the ball and go with it. And that was Travis Jensen for the Panthers that put all the pressure on Barnes, forced him out of that pocket because his mind was made up that he was going to pass that ball. He's thrown for a loss of about 5 yards.
Just a great play again by the Panther defense. Amarillo thinks they have another great start, but instead they look at 2nd and 15 from their own 15-yard line.
Big play by, once again, the Panthers defense. This time the handoff to the back number 42 for Palo Duro, and that is Joel Tudman, as we're seeing some different players in for the Dons. And he tried to go up the middle, did gain some yardage. The ball marked at the 26-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd and about 4 for the Dons. Strong defensive display being put on by the Panthers so far in this game, as they are holding the Dons to no score so far. Todd Barnes keeps the ball but tosses out and is hit hard by number 85. And 85 for the Panthers is definitely Scott Cherry, and this was one of the young men that we talked about not feeling too good when he came into this game. But when he made that hit, he was feeling it all together. Cherry, a big hit, brings up 4th down and 4. So in comes Brackens again, and he will try and kick the ball away. He will be punting from his own 15-yard line. A much better kick than the last time. Over the heads of Parrott. Parrott fields it at finally the 27-yard line. Goes through the crowd. He crosses the 50. 2 men left to go. He is hit, though, finally, and driven back, but his forward motion will bring him down to about the 36-yard line. Number 23 in there for the Dons was Kenny Smith, who made him head on. 39-yard return for Parrott.
And Parrott's been looking at breaking that one all day. You noticed early in the first half, Rick, that he had an opportunity or two because of the height of the punt and the fact the coverage team was a little lax in getting downfield. He had a chance to break a couple, but great one-on-one tackles prevented him from doing that. But this time, able to cut it upfield and takes it all the way back to the opponent 40.
Wide open, good blocking and coverage on the punt, and protection on the punt, I should say, on behalf of the Panthers, because Parrott had a monstrous path cut for him to work his way up. Finally ended up meeting only 4 people left, or 2 people left he had to try and get around. So Nick Keaton in the ball game.
He's now the quarterback as the Panthers are going to some 2nd and 3rd teamers.
This time 34 is the ball carrier for the Panthers, and that's Lonnie Jones, the man moving that ball around and trying it the right side. He twists and turns and gains about a yard on that play, moving it down to about the 38-yard line.
Well, they started for the 40, only a gain of 2. Jones is just absolutely so quick, Rick. If you allow him any kind of crease at all, he's going to bust it on you and take it down the field in a hurry. I'm not sure if he's the fastest player on the Panther roster. If he's not, I bet he's in the top 3.
Well, after the look of that run, that's true. Keaton takes his time. This time again, it goes to number 34, Lonnie Jones. Palo Duro defense on the line, strengthening up a little bit there and stopping Jones as he moves down to the, let's see, they're going to mark that one at the 37-yard line. And that ends this 3rd period of play with the score. 40 for the Panthers, Palo Duro Dons 0. Let's take time out now for this commercial in Lubbock as the Panthers move up to the line as they are in control of this ball and this ball game from the Dons 38-yard line. Keaton, the quarterback, Out to number 34, Lonnie Jones again. Lonnie Jones breaks across the 30-yard line. Meets a big pile up as he works his way down to about the 28-yard line.
Well, it was a gain of 9. The ball, the play started back to the 37-yard line, and Jones, as we talked about a moment ago, finally able to use his speed, broke a couple of tackles, and was able to scatter his way up to the 28 for a gain of 9, and again, another Panther first down.
That speed really helps when you're talking about breaking tackles, because if they can't see you when you go by, they definitely can't tackle you. And that seems to be the case with Lonnie Jones. Keaton back and pass complete to number 15 for the Panthers, who is J.C. Kidd. Nice little out pass to the left side of the field, and Kidd gets the ball down to the 22-yard line.
And for Jason Kidd, that's his first pass reception of the year. It goes from the 28 back to the 22-yard line. A gain of 6 for Keaton, the fourth pass in his 6 passing attempts for the season, and 35 yards coming in, and taxed another 6 on top of that.
Wing T formation still used by the Panthers. New faces all over. Keaton again. He tries the other side this time, and this one is complete to number 29 and 28 is Kelton Montgomery. And Montgomery comes to this right side and works the ball down to the 16-yard line, and that's enough for another first down as the drive continues for Permian. Permian giving an opportunity to a lot of different players to get a lot of playing time, because this is just the first of many down the road for the championship. Keaton out to number 26, I believe that one is, and that was number 26 for the Panthers would be Ephraim Hamilton, the ball carrier this time, and he goes over the left side of the line, crosses the 10-yard line down to the 9-yard line.
That's for the Panthers this afternoon. They've used 3, 6, 7, 8 running backs now as Hamilton is able to pick up 7 yards, and that's just a little pitch play. Through 3 quarters of play this afternoon, unofficially, Permian with 339 yards of offense for the 40 points, and they've held Duro to a grand total of 85 yards of offense.
That is astounding, is it not? That means a very strong defense.
Now, Midland Lee held Duro to 101 back in week 3, and they've really come alive since then, but not today.
Keaton complete across the middle for the touchdown, and that was to number 28 in there for the Panthers, Kelton Montgomery, and that was a beauty right across the middle. Just a little cut-in pass right across the middle. Keaton completes that touchdown pass, and that will add another 6 to the Permian score, and it brings it 46-0. And that is Montgomery's first touchdown as a Panther, by the way. Keaton's first touchdown pass also.
That's right, Keaton 3 of 5 for 35 yards coming in. Finally gets his first touchdown pass of the year, and Kelton Montgomery, who's been injured most of the year, also comes up with his first score.
And the extra point by Wells is good, and that makes the score 47 for the Panthers, 0 for Palo Duro. There is 9:38 still left in this final period of play as the Panthers continue to roll and mount up the yardage, as you said. This is, let's see, what was it, 300+ yards on offense so far for the Panthers, and holding the Dons to under 100 yards.
Under 100, 339 before that last drive, and then they had 28 on top of that, so they've got 367 yards of offense, and you still have a whole quarter to go. I mean, it's been a great day offensively for the Panthers. It's been a super day defensively. Kind of started out just a little bit ragged, but as most good teams do, Rick, they find a way to make things work for them, and even though you had your best running back that is under the weather, you have one of your best linebackers a little bit sick, doesn't make any difference because they've really come to play today.
They have come to play, and as you say, it just takes sometimes a few changes. There were quite a few mistakes in the first half by both teams because they swapped in one series of downs, swapped fumbles back and forth. It was like nobody wanted the ball to play today. But they have straightened that out, have taken care of business, as they say, and are doing a good job of it. On the other hand, the Dons have been rather lethargic. They have not been able to mount any offensive drive except the first couple of offensive downs in the first half. And when we saw that, there was some concern as to what that might mean as they moved it rather easily against the Permian defense.
Well, again, and always, as always seems to be the case, the Panther coaching staff and players have made the adjustments early in the ball game to find out what the weaknesses were. The weaknesses were in the defense and the strengths of the offense, and they took advantage of those, and the defense was able to come through. Sorry about that, able to come through and make the plays they had to allow the offense a chance to get their feet wet. And once that happened, as you can see, I mean, it's been all Permian.
How did you rate getting your name out over the loud?
Kind of blew my mind away there for a second. I don't know how I was thinking.
They announced it here at the stadium. Something about Barry.
We don't know. Concentration, I tell you.
We don't know if it was good or bad.
Well, they said yours before mine.
Oh, there goes the kick, and it's taken at the 10-yard line by number 22 for the Palo Duro Dons, and that's Terry Williams. But there to make the stop.
Here's Jensen, number 56, also coming up, number 19. For the Panthers, down there quickly on the coverage team.
Tito Brito is down there also. Yeah, that was number 19.
And Tito's a name we hadn't really had a chance to say very often. He's done a great job on the kick return teams here and there throughout the year, and always seems to be there along with 4 or 5 others, and you see the 4 or 5. So Tito, we're glad to finally mention your name this time.
Well, I think Tito has now gone in on defense, and we'll be playing back at a safety after that fine play. So we'll be watching for Tito this evening. And it looks like Barnes is going to be the quarterback now as Gilbreth will sit out. Barnes goes straight back. He's looking for a long one. And I mean, he throws a long one. And guess what? It's going to be intercepted again. And this time it is number 18 for the Panthers. And that is Sheldon Bass. And that's his 5th interception of the year. And what a play that was. Now, he was caught from behind by number 71 finally. And that was Sheldon Mallory. But not before he gets up to the 47-yard line. What an interception again.
Now, that's the 3rd pickoff of the afternoon. Mackie Comia had the first couple. In the regular season, Sheldon Bass tied for the district lead with 4 interceptions, comes up with his 5th one this afternoon. Real quickly, Rick, before I get an opportunity, let me take the opportunity to tell you what happened on the last drive by the Panthers. Happened so quick we couldn't tell you. A 7-play, 40-yard drive. 2 minutes and 8 seconds, and the pass from Keaton to Montgomery capped it off.
Keaton tosses out this time, and that goes to number 34, Lonnie Jones. Lonnie Jones takes off around the left side and tries to turn it up, but sees the defense rather strongly there. So he decides to just head it out of bounds, but not before. He is down to the 46-yard line. Pickup of about 8 on that. 2nd and 8 with 9:05 left in this ball game. 47 for the Panthers, 0 for the Palo Duro Dons.
Now, the Panthers, John Williams, retired to the bench today with 131 yards rushing. That gives him on the year over 1,700 yards. Came in with 1,573. Another great day at the office for John Williams and that Panther offense.
Fumble in the backfield, and that toss out went to number 26 for the Panthers, which was Ephraim Hamilton. And Ephraim had a little trouble handling it, but he fell on it, and that'll bring the ball though back to near the 50-yard line. And set the Panthers back just a little bit, but then brings up 3rd down, I believe it'll be, and about 7.
It needs about 3rd and 7, and again, if you're going to look at your quarterback, who's now under center, Nick Keaton, it seems like Keltron Montgomery has suddenly become his favorite receiver. So I'd look for number 28 in the pass pattern, and if he was good enough for the 9-yard TD, you got to think he's got to be good enough for a 7-yard first down.
Yeah, very good point, yeah. Very good point. Keaton, the new quarterback in, and he rolls to the right, and he's going to tuck the ball and keep it and go. Nice block downfield. Keaton gets down to about the 32-yard line before he's tossed out of bounds, and that'll be way more than enough for the first down. And that was a 19-yard run by Keaton, the quarterback. Boy, that was a nice block downfield by one of his wide receivers. It was split out, and I wished I could have got his number.
Now, it looked like Tito Brito, number 19, was split out here on the right side, was able to come up with a block.
That's who it was. That's right.
Keaton, 7 carries for 5 yards coming in, and quickly he picks up a big 19 down to the 31-yard line.
Tito was down there to make that block and clear the way and make that extra yardage possible. This one's tossed back, and this goes to number 34, and that is Lonnie Jones. Lonnie Jones will be carrying that ball in for the touchdown, and this will be his 2nd touchdown of the year. And once he hurdled that one defender that had a shot at him, it was clear going for him for a total of 31 yards for Lonnie Jones for that next scoring play for the Panthers. Bringing the score 53-0, with Wells out there ready to try and tack it on and make it 54.
I tell you, it's just suddenly gotten ugly for Palo Duro. Last year they came into the playoffs, didn't really have that great a year, but they were able to make it into the playoffs last season for their 8th consecutive trip. Probably got walloped by Midland Lee 35-0. Well, this year's no better. If the extra point is tacked on, this year's score will be 54-0.
And there it is. The kick is up and it's good, and it is 54-0. Amarillo Palo Duro has had kind of a rough year. It's been kind of an up and down year because the week before they played Tascosa, they played Tascosa, I believe it was last week. The week before they played Amarillo and were beaten soundly by Amarillo. And then the Dons come back and beat Tascosa in the next game, which Tascosa is representing, I believe, this district as the #1 team.
Well, they were until they got walloped by San Angelo on Friday night.
You're right. Okay, let's take time now with the score 54-0 for this commercial message. This whole game, we are in the fourth quarter with 8:03 left. 54-0. Permian leads and are ready to kick off to the Dons after that last score by Jones. Friday night, San Angelo scored 34 points against Amarillo Tascosa, who the Dons beat the week before that, and Tascosa was going in as the #1 representative of that district.
Yeah, Tascosa, actually Amarillo's #1 in the district. Tascosa had the best defense in the district, and they got beat 28-14 by the same Palo Duro team last Saturday, but now Palo Duro comes into Jones Stadium, and who would have thunk it, 54-0 is our score. We still have 8 minutes to play.
We certainly do. And there comes the Dons as they take it right at the goal line, and that will be number 22, and I believe that is Williams again. Yes, Williams, the ball carrier. He is upended, and there's Tito Brito again, and also down there was number 30, and that's Bergen, to make the stop as they cross the 20-yard line, and they'll set up and start from the their own 21-yard line.
Now, the strength of this offense is centered around Barnes and Gilbert, with also some big help from the running back Brown. Barnes and Gilbert this afternoon have combined, Rick, for only 16 yards rushing. I mean, that's a great defensive stand by the Panther defense.
Uh-oh, that one somebody didn't, it was like everybody went but the center. And that Barnes is talking to his center saying...
they're obviously going to mark it all 5 while they're doing that. Let's tell you, the last drive by the Panther underclassmen, the Panther subs had a chance to get in there and do what they could do. You know, those kids get in there and beat their head in practice every day for 11 weeks, and anytime they get a chance to play, they want to show what they can do.
No doubt.
That drive was 4 plays, 53 yards, minute and 10 seconds, and Lonnie Jones took it the last 31. Our score 54-0 Permian, and that is the most points ever scored by Permian against Palo Duro, and by far the biggest whitewashing ever against this club.
Nothing the Dons can do to stop the momentum that the Panthers have built up.
Somebody opened the floodgates and apparently lost the key.
Barnes passing down and through the arms of number 80 is in, and that is Billy Middleton. And it was just a little high for Middleton. Couldn't quite get his hands wrapped around that one.
You know, if you're a wide receiver, you come back in the huddle and say, look, I don't mind catching your passes, Gilbert, I don't mind catching them, Jermaine, but please put them up there so I don't get hung out to dry by the defensive back who's just waiting to tattoo me.
That could have been dangerous when you're all stretched out. The defensive backs love the look of that, I'll guarantee you. Todd Barnes, the quarterback, I formation for the Dons. Handoff up the middle, which goes nowhere. And that carrying back, I believe, was Gary Brown. I'm thinking that was number 24, but they have made some substitutions on us here. Nope, that was 22 for the Dons, and that is Terry Williams, who has been carrying the job of kickoff returner and has been handling most of the kickoffs.
And make sure I get the name right here, Eric Pilota, able to come up and make the stop for the tackle. He's number, 70-something or other, 76, I'm sure, and was able to come up and make the stop of the running back for no gain. Matter of fact, they lost a yard.
They certainly did. 3rd down and 16. Barnes circling right, looking downfield for a receiver, and he's going to throw back across the grain and broken up beautifully in there by the Panthers' number 18 Bass. as he defended against number 80, and that is Billy Middleton, as Middleton came across the middle, going one direction as Barnes went to the far side of the field. Barnes stops, throws back across, but Bass was with him all the way.
And it's going to be 4th and 16. Once again, Palo Duro is going to have to drop back and kick. Early in the game, they had a couple of penetrations down inside and around the Permian 20-yard line. Palo Duro is going to take a timeout and talk about this one. Do we want to take a break while they're doing so?
Yeah, why don't we take this opportunity to give you this score again. 54-0, 6:56 left in this fourth period of play. We'll take this time for this message. The punter, David Oges, is back for the Dons, is Lonnie Jones, and he is set back at about his own 48-yard line as he awaits the punt from the kicker at the 5-yard line. And it is a line drive. That's going to be taken on the short hop by Bass. Bass crosses the 30-yard line and still on his feet until he's forced out of bounds, and they're going to mark that one, it looks like, at about the 23-yard line.
I'll tell you, way back early in the first part of the ball game, Amarillo drove down to the Panther 22-yard line. Then they lost a fumble. Panthers turned it right back over to them. They moved it from the Panther 30 down to the 26-yard line and fumbled on 4th down. The ball went back over. Since then, the Palo Duro Dons have not crossed midfield. The Panther defense has played that well this afternoon, and now again, after a great defensive stand, the offense takes over at the 23-yard line.
Have not crossed. Okay, we've got another quarterback in there and another running back as he is still going, and that's Lonnie Jones again going in, and he had taken the handoff from Justin Simpson, was in for the Panthers at quarterback, and once he followed Justin for just a little ways and then passed Justin as he saw the field open up for Lonnie, as Lonnie goes in for another TD this afternoon, and this thing just keeps rolling, does it not?
Well, for Lonnie Jones, that's going to be 74 yards rushing this afternoon, and I believe that's going to be close to his best for the year. He had 77 against Midland High way back in week 6, and now 74, but for Lonnie, I'm sure what he's going to be most excited about is he has scored twice this afternoon, and for Justin Simpson, Justin has spent a whole lot of time on the training table this year, and finally gets a chance to suit up, and he would have never believed he'd be able to get in the ball game, and he already has.
Keaton holds this time for Wells, and Wells puts another one through. And this brings the score to 61 for Permian, 0 for the Dons. A very, very strong statistic, Barry, that you gave a little bit earlier, is that Palo Duro has not crossed the 50 in that long a time. That says a lot about this game, I believe.
Well, way back in the first quarter, as I said a moment ago, they had a couple of opportunities early, able to move down inside the Panther 25-yard line, and one time they ran out of downs. You might remember the play when they fumbled on 4th down, and quarterback Gilbert picked it up and ran it in for the score. But you can't advance a 4th down fumble unless you're the person that fumbled it. They had another opportunity. That didn't work, and meanwhile, the chances they gave Permian by fumbling, by throwing interceptions, by kicking punts and having those punts run back to give the Panthers great field position, it has all snowballed into a huge Permian run of 61 points, 61-0 over Amarillo Palo Duro. And I tell you, nobody picked this as a score coming in. A lot of people I heard maybe 35-7,
right,
28-7,
right.
35, and nobody said 61-0. I would have never believed.
Well, who would have guessed that even? I mean, because this has just kind of opened up, and you can kind of feel it. Of course, it's like the Permian band is playing the Indian chop song, and across the field, I think the Amarillo fans are waving the white flag.
They should be.
It's still 6:35 left in this game. And here comes the kickoff, and the kickoff is big and deep, and they're letting it go into the end zone, and so that they can at least bring it out to the 20 and take over from there. As the Dons try and mount some sort of defense, I think, Barry, right now, probably their goal, if there is any opportunity or any goal whatsoever, would be to at least try to get some points on the scoreboard, if not cross the 50, as you said, since that hasn't been done in some time.
Well, for right now, I guess their opportunity is, or their not opportunity, but their goal, as you said, is to cross the 50. For them, I think that would be considered a goal line of sorts because they haven't seen midfield in so long.
Todd Barnes is still the man that has taken over in the second half from Jermaine Gilbreth, who quarterbacked most of the first half. This goes off to a Don as he crosses the 20 up to about the 24-yard line. And that was number 22, the ball carrier for the Palo Duro Dons, and that should be Terry Williams.
It's going to be a 3-yard gain. Unofficially, the Panthers this afternoon, 441 yards of offense with about 6 minutes to play. And that's not really going to be anywhere up near what they've done for the year. They had 546 against Abilene. Had 451 yards rushing against Midland. But I tell you, Rick, a very solid day of football.
Very solid. Barnes looks, turns, looks deep for a receiver, and again, almost intercepted and broken up, but it was broken up down there by the Panthers, and that will be, let's see, I could not pick up his number. It was intended for Bishop, for the Fisher, excuse me, Chris Fisher for the Dons, but that was one of those that Barnes just throws up and hopes his man is able to run under it.
Now the passing game this afternoon for Palo Duro, for Gilbreth, and for his other quarterback mate Barnes has really been nothing. 3 of 13 for 21 yards, and all of that came in the first half.
Third down and about 6 yards. Barnes back again, looking, tries to dump one right over the middle, and it is broken up and intercepted, but by number 62 for the Panthers, and that 62 is Mark Ruckman. And he put a hand up, tossed it up in the air, caught it himself, turned around, and headed the right direction. Got it back to the 23-yard line, but there's a hanky on the field.
I tell you, that's a play that can really get you disoriented in a hurry. You know, you suddenly lose your equilibrium as to where you're going, left or right. Ruckman comes up with a great defensive play. It looked like an Olympic volleyball player knocking the ball up for a spike set. He comes up with a pick, and as you said, is able to turn in the right direction and pick up the interception for Permian.
We've got a penalty against Permian. It's blocking below the knees, of course, and that happens many times when you're on a run back like that, the opportunity, because it's very difficult first for anybody to intercept one like that after they've done almost a complete spin around to which direction to go, and now the blockers have to try and get a clear path for him. But no matter what, it all worked for the best because the Panthers now have the ball. And here comes the Panthers again, this time carrying the ball for the Panthers and leading, blocking, and interference for the runner, number 26, Ephraim Hamilton, was the new quarterback in there, and I think that's Lucas Molina is the new quarterback, number 21. And we've seen a lot of different people in this final period of play. 4:58 left to go. Another look on behalf of the Panthers as number 22, Mike Nichols, quarterbacking, tossing out to number 30, and that is Bergen. And Bergen could not go the left side, so he turns around and tries the right side and picks up maybe a yard on the play, gets down to about the 32-yard line, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and 5 for the Panthers.
That was Bouchon Bergen, who was the brother of number 41. Jared Bergen, and Bouchon, whose nickname is Bull. If you ever see him, Rick, I mean, you talk about a bull. You look like a bull in a china closet the way he runs.
He does
but,
that.
He was able to fight off the defenders and pick up at least a yard there.
Mike Nichols, the quarterback for the Panthers. Nichols tosses off and hands off back to, and I believe that was Hamilton again, trying the right side, and the right side is good for him as he picks up the first down and gets down to about the 26-yard line, maybe the 27, as the clock continues to move. 3:39 left in this game. The score 61 for the Panthers, 0 for the Dons. Very, very strong offense and defensive game this afternoon on behalf of the Panthers.
Panthers came up with 7 turnovers this afternoon, 4 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries, and as that's indicated by the score of 61-0, the Panthers just continue to run down the field.
Right now, the Panthers are definitely just trying to run the clock down just a little bit. Ball carrier on that one was Hubert Collins as he goes right up the middle.
I believe that was Eric Williams
Was it?
You know, the JV players don't have the P on the
I'm
helmet.
sorry, you're right.
And so that's JV player.
I missed the helmet on that one.
That's all right. They've used about 15 ball carriers. Unfortunately, my sheet only has room for 11.
Okay, back to the Permians as again they try the middle, and just keeping the ball in control is the main reason, and that is Eric Williams again, the ball carrier, and trying to keep the control, trying to let that clock run out, not trying to run up any more score on the clock. We're now setting at the 23-yard line, 3rd and about 6.
I'd be surprised if they try to put it in the air. I'd just pitch it back to one of the running backs, to Williams, or let the quarterback try to run it, but, you know, just simply run the ball and let the clock mercifully run out.
Molina, the quarterback this time, tosses back, and it looks like the Dons had read that play, like somebody had told them. And that was Eric Williams trying the left side again, but the Dons were there in force. And now then, 4th down.
Yeah, it's going to be 4th and loss all the way back to give them a 4th down and 9. You know, you can try to pick up the 1st down, you can try to throw it or whatever, but I think that you just run the ball, simply just use a running play, and you make it fine. If you don't, let the ball go over and let Amarillo have the ball to run the clock out. 1:35 and the clock rolls. 2 men split to the near side. Molina, the quarterback, and again 62 in on that one, and that's Parscale in to make that stop on Williams again, and this time they set him back, and the crowd goes crazy because they know this one is over and done with 1:15 moving. The Dons will try and do something this time, and probably their last offensive opportunity of the evening. 1:12, the clock moving, 61-0. The Panthers in total control. Barnes, the ball carrier, throws it out to his tight end, number 80, Billy Middleton. Middleton, the ball carrier, gets up the sideline, steps out at about the 46-yard line, but we've got a flag on the play, and that flag sits back at the 32-yard line. Marquista Ross, number 18, came up to make the tackle, but Middleton was able to shake him off, and was able to get down the field for a gain of, well, it's going to cross them near the 50, if not over the 50. Let's check and see what the call is.
Yeah, they're marking it down at the 41-yard line, but it looks like he's already picked up the ball and is going to move it back unless, no, they're waving the hanky off. Uh-oh. Well, they didn't. Are they going to take it up to where they had it the first time? Because that referee just picked up the ball and moved it up. So, well, wherever it is, we're going to do it at the 46-yard line, and that's enough for a 1st down for the Dons. 59 seconds left, and they're going to say, well, that penalty wasn't worth that.
Well, okay. It's going to double the passing total. They had 21 yards passing prior to that play, Rick. That play was good for 21, and still quite ugly, 4 of 15 for 42, but the clock inside of 45 seconds.
Barnes again the man, 222 Williams up the middle, 76 and 26 in on that play. 26 for the Panthers, or it's Hamilton, and 76 making the stop, Eric Hiltola.
Also, Jamie Kane, 61, came up, and unfortunately somebody's laying on the field injured. Well, you hate to see that this late in the ball game. Rick, yes. Let's talk about next week. The Panthers will be facing a team from El Paso. El Paso Eastwood, who has a record of 10-1. Friday night, they beat El Paso Verges 23-14. They feature one of the most prolific passing attacks in the entire state of Texas. I believe the quarterback's name is Silas Garcia. Back in week 2 against Odessa High, or week 3 for Odessa High, he threw for over 200 yards and 5 TDs. This is a quarterback, Garcia, that has statistics equal to and above those of Ben Montgomery of San Angelo Central. So coming in at Radlett Stadium next Friday night, you're going to see a passing show and an offense that averages in excess of 420 yards per game. And they'll be playing a Panther team that will be facing a huge passing attack for the second time in 3 weeks. And that ought to be exciting.
That's definitely a potent offensive team, you would say, coming into that. So we can look for an aerial battle that will not quit. And that will be at 8 p.m. at Radlett Stadium Friday. Okay, back to pass is Barnes, and he's looking. He's got plenty of time. He's moving around, and he's throwing it deep downfield and broken up downfield, and that was a battle deluxe.
Marquista Ross Number 18 came up with the play, and I thought it looked for a second like Marquista was going to come up with the interception.
I
but,
thought
it fell away harmlessly, and he came up, oh, darn, I thought
he was very upset because that was his, as they say, 15 seconds of stardom, you might say, or whatever.
Well, it's 15 minutes or whatever, almost. But I tell you, the way this offense is playing, these kids are going to have an opportunity, it looks like, to play a lot more before the year is out.
10 seconds left in this ball game, 61-0. And the Panthers are in control and have this one in hand. Barnes, this will probably be the last pass of the game. Barnes throws it up. Number 22 down to defend for the Panthers, and that 22 will be Nichols. And they've got a flag there, so this game, with 1 second left on the clock, it looks like they're going to call pass interference. And
Jody Thompson also down there defensively, and both of them going for the ball. And I would think, Rick, if you're both going for the ball, well, they're going to call an offensive
pass interference.
All right, the two Panther defenders.
Well, that's what I thought, because it looked like number 80 for the Dons, who is Middleton, grabbed the Panthers and pulled them back to get them out of the way so that they wouldn't intercept it. But that stopped the clock, and we've got 1 second to go. And that's going to move the Dons back for another penalty. And as you can see there, 61-0 the score. That's going to set it back out of range. This will be the last play of the game, because not only is it 1 second left, but it's also fourth down for the Dons. So you can say the time has run out, and this game is, thank goodness, over for today. Barnes, knowing, is going to go back. A lot of pressure being put on him, rolls out of the pocket to the left, fumbles the ball as he tries to get around, and that's going to be recovered by the Panthers, and the game is ended on a very positive point.
I'll tell you positive. How about this for positive, Rick Wood? The 61 points, 61-0 victory is the largest victory margin in the playoffs in Permian's entire history. They beat El Paso, Austin 56-0 back in 1984. But now 61-0. That's the biggest margin, most points ever scored by the Panthers in postseason play. That dates back to 1959.
Well, this is their biggest score, and this was one of their biggest wins so far. And again, this is just their first step in the march for the championship. We do want to remind you that immediately following this game, Coach Hollingshead will be back to give you a summary of this total game and some more information as we go.